It's been a long wait for Star Fox fans to get back into the seat of an R-Wing. The last new entry of the series was Star Fox Command back in 2006 for the Nintendo DS. And while a remake of the N64 classic was released on the Nintendo 3DS as Star Fox 64 3D in 2011, it only made fans crave for the day that a new entry in the series would come. And that day is here, though there are some caveats to it. The plot of the game is almost note for note of that of Star Fox 64, and in turn the original Star Fox on Super Nintendo. The evil scientist Andross wants to take over the Lilat system, and the mercenary group Star Fox is hired to take them down. After all these years, the plot still works. As soon as the intro happens, the story quietly fades into the background and the gameplay is at the forefront. Star Fox Zero plays very similar to that of Star Fox 64. Most levels consist of linear paths that you will need to fly to reach a boss at the end. But many times you will need to break into all range mode, where you have full 3-dimensional movement of your R-Wing. You also have the returning Landmaster tank, but from here things become different from the N64 classic. Both the R-Wing and Landmaster can now transform with a tap of the A button, to become the Walker and Gravmaster respectively. The Walker can go into tight spaces and infiltrate enemy bases, and can hover for as long as the meter allows, and the Gravmaster allows the Landmaster to take to the skies, and it controls very similar to an R-Wing, as long as the meter isn't drained. And the final vehicle added is the Gyro Wing, the small helicopter that you can deploy a small robot from to hack computers for infiltration missions. Every planet you travel to on your quest will provide you a new mission objective and are designed to challenge you. Whether it's to help the Cornerian army defend against Andross's forces in an epic space battle, go through an area undetected to take out enemy defenses, rescue a teammate of yours, or blasting through a sector to reach Andross. The level design will keep you on your toes at every moment, and there's rarely any downtime, keeping you engaged the entire time, with set pieces that are a joy to play through and experience. The only gripe with the level design is the repetition in certain levels. Mainly 3 different levels that are reused twice each, and don't play very different from one another. While the level near the end of the game isn't as big of an offender, stages like the Asteroid Field and the Great Fox feel too similar to one another, and both versions of Zonus are the same level. The only change is the vehicle you use, which is rather disappointing. Now, completing the game normally will send you down a linear path towards Venom, but just like 64, if you perform certain requirements like traveling through a portal or accomplishing a mission rather than completing it, you can change your route, allowing you to get to a new stage and find new ways to play through the game. In total, there are 19 different paths you can take, but in the main game you are able to select any level you unlocked at any time. If you want a more traditional Star Fox experience, you can later unlock Arcade Mode, which will score you as you go through the game on a path you decide. It will also keep track of your best scores for each of the 19 journeys. But in this mode, you have a 1 backup life policy. Die with about 3 golden rings and you're sent back to the start. If you want to do more, you can also check out the game's tutorial mode, which acts like a challenge mode where you need to collect tokens as fast as you can in various challenge courses that will open up as you progress through the game. So everything so far is very similar to Star Fox 64, but there's one major change to the game that's the defining aspect of Star Fox Zero: the control. In Star Fox Zero, all movement is handled by the left stick, and the right stick controls smart bombs, boosting and braking, and U-turns, with the ZR button controlling your lasers. But aiming is now a separate control of the ship itself. On the gamepad screen, you will have a cockpit view of the action, where you can look around at anything that's in Fox's viewing range. You move the gamepad to the location you want to shoot at with your reticle, so you will need to focus on both aiming in the cockpit and managing your ship's location on the screen at all times. Needless to say, this is the biggest dividing point of Star Fox Zero. That control requires a lot of skill, even for the most veteran player, and this alone will be the biggest factor for if you can enjoy the game or not. It doesn't help that they are required at all times with no other controller being allowed. The only way to get around it is to play in co-op mode, where one player flies the ship and the other shoots. But besides that, the game will force you to use these controls, and there is no way around it, unlike games like Splatoon that made the motion controls purely optional. And there's no way to customize the button layouts as well, which would have helped, as performing tasks like the infamous barrel roll are now done by tapping the right stick left and right, which feels very awkward. It was hard to grasp for a few hours, but once I began my second full playthrough of the game, everything started to click for me. Now I was able to start performing maneuvers that would have been impossible in any other Star Fox game thanks to this control scheme. In fact, this really can make parts of the game stand out more, such as the encounters with Starwolf, which thanks to the cockpit view, make you really feeling like you're tailing an enemy and shooting them out of the sky. Once you master the controls of Star Fox Zero, you will start to get an immense feeling of satisfaction from the game. It doesn't beat an N64 controller, but the control still works. But to get to that point requires time and dedication that only a few players will have. Not helping those players settle in is the less than perfect graphical quality. Some areas look great, such as the space scenes, Corneria, and Zonus, but some areas like the inside of bases and the character models can look straight out of the GameCube era, and it's incredibly distracting. Though to be fair, the game has to render everything twice thanks to the separate view on the gamepad. But still, this is far from what the Wii U is capable of. Luckily, the sound of Star Fox Zero will undoubtedly entertain players, with the constant voice chatter from the gamepad that contains without a doubt the best voice work that the franchise has seen yet, and from the TV incredible music. From the heart-pumping beginning notes of Corneria, to the space opera battle between Starwolf, to the peace and victory theme of the ending credits. Star Fox Zero contains an incredible soundtrack that will please both longtime fans and players of all kind. The only nitpick about the sound is the fact that all the radio chatter comes from the gamepad with no way to get it to come out of the TV as well. Star Fox Zero is a game that will only become as good as you are at playing it. If you aren't willing to adapt to the confusing at first controls and the frustration that will come with them, you're not going to have a pleasant experience. But if you're willing to go for the ride and learn the game's mechanics, you will find an adventure that lives up to the Star Fox legacy and is well worth the 10-year wait. Welcome back, Mr. McCloud. We've missed you. We give Star Fox Zero a 4 out of 5. Thanks for watching. For the full review and other nerd culture, go to thenerdstash.com.